Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining me for this program overview webinar in anticipation of our St. Patrick's Day round coming up on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. My name is Phil Drendall. I'm going to quickly introduce myself and then we'll go over the MS in Management or the MSM program here at the University of Notre Dame Mendoza College of Business. So, a brief introduction about who I am. So, I was born and raised here in South Bend, Indiana. Yes, dreams do come true. I grew up, I wasn't really affiliated with the university growing up. My father's a lawyer in the area, my mom was a principal. But Notre Dame was always something that obviously living in the same town as the University of Notre Dame, a lot of buzz around it, kind of this esteemed place. I was lucky enough to be an undergrad here at Notre Dame. I started as a pre-med major, wasn't quite for me, so I switched my majors to psychology. Not really sure what I wanted to do after graduation. There was no MSM program at the time. Um, Otherwise, it probably would have been very intriguing. But with a psychology major, I knew I wasn't ready for grad school quite yet. I had loved my time at Notre Dame. You see here, the second picture, I taught myself how to play the tuba, joined the marching band, had some great experiences with that. But after graduation, decided to leverage my Notre Dame network, and I actually had someone recommend teaching English in South Korea. I had never really left South Bend before. So I decided, hey, you only live once. I'm young. I don't really have a family or that many responsibilities to take care of at this time. So I ended up going to Korea. You see here the third picture, the Seoul skyline with the End Seoul Tower right there. Um, I ended up spending 9 years in South Korea. I did not anticipate staying that long, but I decided after 9 years that was enough time. Came back to the United States, came back to South Bend, ended up getting my master's in higher education, and starting my internship back where it all began at the University of Notre Dame with the Mendoza College of Business. In this fourth picture here, I am actually in Shanghai, China, at a international MBA fair. After I finished my degree, I ended up getting offered a full-time position, and I've been in my current role now as the lead recruiter and assistant director of admissions for the MSM program for just about a year and a half. So that's just a little bit about who I am, a little bit of background. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video so that it doesn't distract you and you can see the whole screen. Um, so a little bit about the University of Notre Dame. The University of Notre Dame, founded in 1842 by Reverend Edward F. Sorin. Him, along with seven other brothers from France, came actually to southern Indiana on a French missionary order. They, with the goal of starting a place of higher learning. A quote from Father Sorin says, "This college will be one of the most powerful means for doing good in this country." They eventually worked their way north and ended up here in South Bend, Indiana, where they established the school in 1842. Notre Dame has a unique spirit. It's traditional, yet it's open to change. It's dedicated to religious belief, but no less than to scientific knowledge, right? We kind of blend. Obviously, we have a very Catholic background and Catholic identity, but it's as much the lower C Catholic, meaning worldwide and open-minded, as it is capital C Roman Catholic. Um, with the Mendoza College of Business, this was founded in 1921 by Reverend John Francis O'Hara to build a premier Catholic business school that fosters academic excellence, professional effectiveness, personal accountability, um, in a context that strives to be faithful to the ideals of community human development and individual integrity. That was kind of his goals. We've grown since then. We currently offer several MBA programs as well as many one-year specialized master's programs. Um, so we've recently kind of rebranded. We've always had this underlying sense of, what can business do for you? How can our students utilize the business skills that they gain in the classroom to then go forward and actually make an impact in the world? And we've come up, our current dean, Martin Kremers, came up with this quote. So we're committed to our mission to grow the good in business by developing leaders who contribute to human flourishing, cooperate with others in solidarity, and compete toward becoming the best version of themselves through serving others. He kind of talks about these three pillars um, of the business school that he attributes to us actually being able to grow that good. So the first is to contribute to human flourishing, serving others in response to all the gifts we've received. We talk about cooperate and solidarity through teamwork. We're a very collaborative program here at Mendoza. And then finally compete, but competing with the externally in the marketplace and then internally toward the best version of oneself. It's not necessarily competition with one another, especially within the MSM program. It is the idea of a high tide raises all ships, or kind of crossing the finish line together. We're working together to compete and like better ourselves, but also to find jobs externally and to actually make an impact. So that's just a brief overview of the Mendoza College of Business. Um, so who are we at Mendoza? First and foremost, we're a community, we're a family. So once you're a part of the Notre Dame family, whether you're here for 1 year, for 4 years, you are a part of the family going forward, right? So a great example of this, our career development center. So you will be given, part of the MSM program, you have access to this amazing career development center, and you will be paired with a career coach. Her name is Lisa Michaels. She's been with the MSM program for years. Before that, she was in a different position at the university. She worked professionally as a headhunter as well. She knows the industry. She knows this program. She knows the university. We have students that after graduating and finding their job, they will keep in contact with Lisa. And when it comes time for that second job or the promotion, she's willing to help them out, to work with them, um, and help them find that second job. Network strength. Mendoza's rated number 4 globally for alumni effectiveness. We have over 270 alumni clubs worldwide. Experiential learning. These are seen through our interterm intensive weeks, which are basically, I'll get into them in a little bit, but they're basically 1 week breaks giving you the opportunity to kind of use the knowledge that you've learned in the classroom in a hands-on way. Yes, getting this business acumen in the classroom, greatly important, especially with the MSM program that's designed for non-business majors. It's important to be able to apply what you learn in these interterm intensives. We also have global opportunities, including our international immersion trip with trips abroad to South America, South Africa, Asia, and then ethical foundation. Ethics is woven throughout the curriculum. It is not just a class. You will learn business ethics. I know other MSM programs, other business schools, they have business ethics, but for us, it is who we are. It is evident as soon as you step on campus, as soon as you join this program. It's the importance of asking how decisions impact those around you and the world as a whole. We believe that we're unable to grow the good in business without this ethics aspect woven throughout. For example, an accounting class, you may say, well, how can you ethically do accounting? Accounting is numbers and formulas and math. But there is actually an ethical way to apply formulas, to look at accounting, to be able to then apply what you learn in more of a business setting. It's something that we really take seriously here at Notre Dame. Brief overview of the program. We're an 11-month program designed for non-business majors who want to blend their undergraduate degree with the business acumen they'll gain in the program to then go forward and hopefully either start a career in a professional business setting, or ideally maybe blend their undergraduate major with business and hopefully find a job that applies to both. I like to give the example, A few years ago, we had a student come in. He was a marine biology major as an undergrad, knew that marine biology was a passion of his, but he didn't necessarily want to be a scientist. So he came to Notre Dame, did the MSM program. He found a job afterwards working at an octopus farm in Hawaii. So he was able to kind of use his marine biology side to, work on sustainably raising octopi and, what are best practices and things like that, but also the business side, how to market the farm, how to work on like accounting and payroll, things like that. So we see a lot of kind of similar paths when it comes to career outcomes. As I said, 11-month program. We begin in June. So orientation for next year is scheduled for June 14th. Typically, around that time, the middle of June is when you'll find orientation week. And then the following week, we start classes, June 22nd. No prior work experience necessary for this program. About 75% of our cohorts come directly from undergrad, with about 25% having between 0 and 3 years of work experience. Um, if you have more work experience, but not necessarily in a business setting, that's fine. Usually, we encourage those with more than 3 years or 4 years of work experience to explore the MBA, simply because with the MBA program, the average work experience is around 5 years. With the MSM program, the average work experience is 0 to 2 years. So, with more work experience, um, the curriculum for the MSM is designed more for students with minimal work experience, whereas the curriculum for the MBA program is designed for with more work experience. So if you have more than 3 years, you can still apply, absolutely. Um, but maybe an MBA is something that we would encourage. Again, very collaborative cohort for non-business majors. This is including econ majors, business minors. I would say usually the cutoff is around 18 credit hours of business. If you have 18 credit hours or fewer in business, you would be eligible for the program. If you have more than those 18 credit hours, if you exceed that maximum, we'd probably ask that you choose a different program. Again, simply because the program is designed for those who have little to no exposure in a professional business setting or with the principles of business. Therefore, there may actually be a little too much overlap when it comes to what you learned as an undergrad and what you would learn within the MSM program. If you have a question about it, if you're unsure whether or not you would qualify, definitely reach out to me. I'm happy to take a look at your transcript, kind of see where overlap might be, and then talk with you and work through various options there. Um, as far as who enrolls in the program, so I would say about 35%, 40% of our MSM class is usually comprised of Notre Dame undergrads who decide to stay one more year. That being said, we have a wide range of colleges, universities, undergraduate institutions, majors represented within our program from all over the United States. We see a lot of students come from California, from Massachusetts, from Texas, from the Midwest, the Chicago area. We have students who went to Catholic universities such as St. Mary's College, Stonehill College, Holy Cross, Mass. But obviously not a requirement at all. And then for majors, again, we have arts and letters majors, STEM majors. I would say the breakdown of this year's class, about 10% engineers, about 25-30% non-engineering STEM majors, and then the remainder being arts and letters majors. So quite a nice mix when it comes to class makeup. For international students, we always have international students within the program. I always get asked, is this a STEM designated program, which is important for international applicants? We are not a STEM designated program. So if that is something that is important to you as an international applicant, we do have other programs within Mendoza, specifically the MS in Business Analytics MSBA program. Our MSA accounting program has a business analytics or a data analytics track that is STEM designated, as well as we're working on our master's in finance for STEM designation in the future. Um, we do get, so I will be honest also, when it comes to job placement, obviously it's very challenging for us to predict the market, especially when it comes to which companies are hiring international applicants full time and willing to sponsor a visa. So, because of our lack of STEM designation, we find that a lot of international students do choose to apply to another program. If the MSM program is something you are very interested in, we still encourage you to apply. Um, Program structure. In the summer, as I mentioned, mid-June orientation week, and then we kind of hit the ground running. 7 weeks of an intensive summer program where you're doing these quick hitter classes lasting 2, 3, 4 weeks to really get the fundamentals of business. So from a finance class, a quantitative business analytics class, a management class, our Bridge to Success course, which I'll talk about in a little bit, all of that happens in the summer. Once the fall begins, it kind of slows down a little bit. You're able to do a little bit more deep dive into the program. You're able to build on those foundations that you built in the summer to really expand your business repertoire. We are kind of on the quarter system. So we call them modules. So the fall, you have 2 modules. The spring, you have 2 mods. In between mods 1 and 2, and mods 3 and 4, that's where you'll find those interterm intensive experiences that I talked about. With the MSM program, we've used these weeks in a variety of different ways. Um, some examples we've used in the past, we've done deep dives into particular skills such as R and SQL data visualization tools. We've done particular career development skills, how to do virtual career fairs and actually holding career fairs during that time. We've done kind of mini case competitions, how to do case competition prep, mini capstone projects where we have students that work with a company. They're given a problem, they're given some data, and they're asked to kind of find a solution and then present that to the company. Another way, last year we had our business improv, which is a lot of fun. It's basically like comedy improv, but it's used in a business setting, how to think on your feet, how to be brave, and how to be a leader, but not necessarily a manager, right? We understand there's a difference between those. And then you see in the spring, that's where you find your international immersion experiences. Technically, it's a 1 credit course where our students, the MSM students have the chance to interact with MBA students, sometimes MSA students as well. And you get your choice of 3 locations. Last year, we offered an Asia trek, so with Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and Shanghai, China, a South Africa trek with Johannesburg and Cape Town, and then a South America trek with Santiago, Chile, and Buenos Aires, Argentina. Um, because it's a 1 credit course, technically there is some sort of deliverable. So you may be, writing a group paper or doing some sort of presentation afterwards. You may be asked to present something to the board. It's an opportunity for you to travel abroad and kind of see how business is done internationally. What industries are important in the area that you're going? How is business ran differently than maybe what you learned in a classroom here? You also get the chance to interact with MBA students. It's a great way to kind of build that network, get some, build that mentor-mentee relationship as well. As far as what you learn within the MSM program, so foundational business courses, but at a master's level of understanding. And these are tailored for individuals who've not yet studied business, as I mentioned. The MSM curriculum pretty much mirrors the first year of our 2-year MBA program. So looking at more quantitative courses like accounting and finance and quantitative business analytics, to more of the soft skills courses like management and communications and business ethics. And then this Bridge to Success course, if you look at the bottom left, you see that Bridge to Success. This is our signature career development center-led course about how you can create your own personal brand, how you can market yourself in order to prepare for the job search. This course is taught in the summer by Lisa Michaels, the lead coach for the MSM program, doing things such as how to tailor your cover letter and resume based on what sort of job you're applying for, how to do cold calling, how to do virtual happy hours, how like interview prep, case competition prep, how to tap into the alumni network, how to reach out to alumni or other networking opportunities. It's basically preparing you for the job search because depending on what kind of job you're looking for example, consulting, that process can start as early as September. So we want to make sure that you are prepared, you're ready for that process so that when it comes time for you to look for a job, you feel comfortable, you're able to market yourself. You know, a lot of the companies we work with, obviously, they know the reputation that Notre Dame has. They know the reputation the MSM program has. So it's definitely to your benefit to be a part of the program. But it's also about you being able to show your unique strengths, your passions, how your background and what you learned in the MSM will be a benefit to this program. Um, some things we're also looking at changing a little bit this year. So one is the addition of more electives. We've always had the option to kind of overload your schedule, take on an elective or two. We're looking at making that a little bit easier for you within the program. People, students in the past, they've used the electives in a variety of ways. We encourage students to maybe take a different business course that's outside of the MSM academic core. So if you're really interested in a particular kind of marketing or a particular kind of business analytics or something like that, you have the opportunity to do that. Some of our students have qualified for MBA level courses. Obviously, it's kind of up to what are the prerequisites for the course. Do you meet the criteria? Um, and any elective, you kind of need the professor's agreement as well as your academic advisor. That being said, they're always willing to work with our students. They know the great results that our MSM students have had in the classes. And then some of our students decide to use those electives outside of Mendoza, right? So you're at Notre Dame. What can what are you interested in besides business? We have all these great resources available. So if you're interested in a non-business course, a lot of our students decide like, hey, I want to take a language course or I want to do this. And they have the option to do that as well. We're also looking at adding some concentrations or some specialties in the spring. We haven't yet landed exactly on what those are. We're still kind of identifying which professors are able to kind of take on some extra load. Um, but basically, you'll have the summer and the fall to build those base competencies. And then in the spring, you'll be able to do a little bit of specialization into particular skills, something that a lot of businesses have said they're looking at from MSM programs around the country. The interterm experiences, electives, as I mentioned, I kind of went over this already. Some elective options, something that's really popular is this 10 Years Hence lecture series. It happens every spring. Um, you know, Something else I guess I want to bring up here, we also have domestic treks that we've done in the past. So obviously this year, a little bit different with COVID, we're unable to really travel, but in years past, we've done a Chicago trek, an Indianapolis trek. We're looking at possibly adding like a New York or a San Francisco trek. We did one last year, right before COVID, of various wineries, breweries, and distilleries in Southwest Michigan. Our students had a lot of fun there. Our professors that accompanied had a lot of fun there. But it's a great way, again, to kind of see firsthand how business is run, apply what you've learned, and the opportunity to, again, build that network. When it comes to student organizations, I mentioned that we're a community here. So within the MSM itself, we have the MSM Association, or MSMA. It's basically like student government within the MSM program. You're voted by your peers to a position in office. We have 3 or 4 positions available. You know, you're taking on leadership roles, you're helping organize community service experiences, you're bringing in guest speakers and organizing events, you're creating and distributing class apparel, you're working with other specialized master's programs to maybe bring in some larger speakers or something like that. Also, most MBA clubs are open to MSM students. These are not all of them listed here. These are just an example of some in the past that have been more popular with our MSM students. So the marketing club, Black graduates in management, women in business, consulting club, a lot of these clubs are open to MSM students. So not only can you kind of build these specific skill sets within the club, again, you're able to broaden your network. You're able to talk with the MBA students that are also in this club, learn from them. We're working on kind of creating a mentor-mentee relationship program as well with the MBA and the MSM, again, because they have, on average, 5 years of work experience. A great way for you to learn firsthand from them. Um, and then I will say, any undergraduate club is open to our MSM students as well. There are so many student organizations, clubs, activities, pretty much anything you think of is going to be open to you. I believe last year, some of the new ones that I can think of, we had a juggling club that started, a cornhole club, or bags, depending on where you're from, what you call it. Pretty much anything you can think of, there is a club there. We have a lot of MSM students that play intramural sports against other graduate schools and undergrads. We have fine arts, drama, singing, music, that sort of thing, language clubs, hiking clubs, jogging clubs, all of that is open to you. Mendoza is unique in that not only do we emphasize development of your business acumen within the classroom, but also personal development outside of the classroom. You're only here for 11 months. Notre Dame has amazing resources for you. Why not take advantage of that? We really encourage our students, join one or two clubs. Now, it's different than undergrad where you can't join 3,200 clubs and do everything. Obviously, graduate level work is a little bit different than undergrad level work, but we really want you to develop a hobby, develop a passion. Um, there was an MBA student a few years ago. She knew that she wanted to try something new. She was really into fitness and exercise. We have a yearly boxing tournament on campus. For men, it's called the Bengal bouts. For women, it's Baraka bouts. Both go to raise money for missions in India. She decided, I'll give it a shot. She ended up finishing like fourth place in the entire tournament, campus wide, and now loves boxing, knows that she wants to do something with boxing. That's a great example of how you can develop your passions and kind of grow who you are during your time at Notre Dame. The admissions process. So I will be hosting another webinar next week, Wednesday, March 10th, that does a deep dive into the admissions process. That being said, I can do a quick overview now. And if you have questions, again, if you have questions throughout, please just let me know in the Q&A function. If you have questions about the admissions process now, I'm happy to answer those. But if you're looking for an in-depth dive into the application, some tips and tricks, I'll go section by section next week, Wednesday. Feel free to register for that. But the application itself, fairly straightforward. Just a one-page resume, a two-page double-spaced essay. We give you a couple of prompts and you choose one. A 4-slide PowerPoint. You're not actually presenting these. It's just kind of a creative way for you to show who you are. That's not listed 3 other areas in your application. So I always encourage pictures and creativity. Please do not just put words on slides. We read so many essays that we don't need another essay in slide form. 2 letters of recommendations. We do ask that at least one of those be from an academic source. So whether it's a professor or an academic advisor or a department chair or a dean or something like that, that's fine. When you apply, we only need your unofficial transcripts and your unofficial exam scores. We will ask that you provide your official transcripts, your official exam scores, should you be admitted to the program prior to that. But in order to apply, We don't need that. For your unofficial transcripts, we do need transcripts of every institution that you've attended. So, everyone's academic journey is different. If you attended one university your first year, transferred 3 times, that's absolutely fine. We would ask for transcripts from all of those. For those who are Notre Dame undergrads or who graduated from Notre Dame or with a 3.5 cumulative GPA or higher, we are waiving the GMAT and GRE requirement. If you have a 3.48 GPA, you're very close, you can request a waiver on the application, at which point the admissions committee will meet and decide whether or not to grant your waiver request. They may ask that you go through the process, you still interview and everything like that, at which point they can then say, yes, we've granted you the waiver, or no, we've not. We still need a test score. For international students, obviously, a lot of your schools, the GPA is not on a 4.0 scale. We can do a WES evaluation on our end. We do ask that we know kind of what's a strong GPA, what's not. We see a lot of international GPAs come through. Understand that the WES evaluation does sometimes take a couple of weeks. So we would probably ask, apply, we'll go through the evaluation process what we can while that WES evaluation, the translation to the 4.0 scale is done. And then at which point you may be asked to still submit a test score, or you may have your waiver request granted. And then there is a $50 application fee, but if you use the code IRISHWEB, make sure it's all one word, all capital letters, so IRISHWEB, that will waive the $50 application fee. This is on the additional information page of the application. Very important page, because this is also where you will find our merit-based fellowships question. And then there is an interview. Not everyone is asked to interview or invited to interview. This year, interviews are all being conducted via Zoom because of COVID and health and safety precautions. We want to make sure that Notre Dame maintains this kind of little bubble that we have here. So all of those are being conducted via Zoom at this time. When it comes to deadlines, coming up, as I mentioned, is the St. Patrick's Day deadline, March 17th. In order to apply, we only need your portion of the application. That would mean your resume, your essay, your PowerPoint slides, the email addresses of your recommenders. They don't have to have them submitted. And then that's it. You can send us your unofficial transcripts after you apply. You can send us your unofficial test taker copies after you apply. So the benefit to applying now rather than later is that you kind of lock in your spot with an earlier decision. You see here, if you apply by March 17th, you have all of your materials, you go through the process, you will receive a decision no later than April 9th. If you wait until our round 4 deadline of April 20th, you'll receive your decision by May 14th. Obviously, with the program starting mid-June, we want to make sure that you get your application sooner rather than later. The sooner you apply, obviously, the more guaranteed seats there are available, the more guaranteed fellowship money there is available. The longer that you wait, the more sparse this can become. It is not an issue yet. It may become an issue depending on how many applications come through. Because we're kind of growing the size of the program this year to around 90 to 100 students, I don't have any historical data when it comes to acceptance rate or anything like that. I can tell you historically, we've been around 40 to 60% on the size of the program as it was previously. This current year, we decided to raise the number because of COVID. We had a lot of job offers rescinded, extra years of eligibility for NCAA athletes. And so we currently had 86 that enrolled this year, and we're looking at growing that slightly more next year. So again, that's kind of a program overview, some brief quick hitters. Again, our one-on-one career coaching, our Bridge to Success career class, you will work with a career coach in the Career Development Center to help you find a job that you want. Career outcomes, I would say it's kind of all over the place, right? All of our MSM students have such a wide range of backgrounds and majors and undergraduate institutions. And with that comes a wide variety of passions and options and stuff moving forward. And so while I would say the number one job placement is some form of consulting role, maybe 20 to 25% of our students go into some sort of consulting role. We see a lot within the financial services industry, probably around 20, 25%. Um, Within recent years, we've seen a big uptick within the healthcare industries and the tech industries as well. Um, but it's kind of all over the place. It changes from year to year. Some years we get a lot of interest in PR. Sometimes we get a lot of interest in HR, sometimes marketing. So again, we want to make sure that you are successful to start your career in whatever field you're hoping to go to. The international immersion, I already talked about that. Pairing your MSM with a 1-year MBA, this has become very popular, especially within the last couple of years. So, like I said, the curriculum, basically the first year of our 2-year MBA. Upon completion of the MSM program, you would become eligible for the 1-year MBA. Now, I will say the large majority of our students will work for a few years first and then come back and get their MBA. And the reason is because with the MSM, you've never had a professional business job. And the best way to figure out what suits you oftentimes is to actually just go forward and do the job, get that hands-on experience, that real life experience, and then use your MBA to focus in on particular skills. The MBA program, you have the option to choose from 8 or 9 different majors or concentrations. But until you have that hands-on experience, until you actually know how you want to best effectively utilize your MBA experience, it's kind of tough to know which major to choose until you have that hands-on experience. That being said, some of our MSM students every year do go directly into the 1-year MBA. They have internship experience, they've done some research, and they kind of know what it is they want to focus on. But the usual trek is MSM, work for a few years, come back, get that accelerated 1-year MBA, and then you have 2 degrees, 2 graduate business degrees from the University of Notre Dame within a few years. And then that Notre Dame Alumni Network, number 4, global effectiveness. When it comes to alumni networks, 270 alumni clubs worldwide. We help you tap into that network. We bring alumni to campus very often, whether it's guest speakers, panels. We do have Mendoza tailgates for football games where a lot of alumni come in. We want to set you up for success, not only for the next job directly after the MSM, but for the job after that. And then the job after that, right? You're getting a broad range of business principles so that when you're asked for a promotion, but you need an additional role, you've got it covered. You have experience with that. If you look for that second job and they're asking maybe for something slightly different, you're able to do that. You're able to transition smoothly because you have exposure to all of those skills within the MSM program. As I mentioned, as a thank you for joining me today, on the additional information page at the bottom, you will see that there's an area for a fee waiver code. Again, use the code IRISHWEB, all one word, no spaces, all capital letters, and that will waive the $50 application fee. I will say we also offer merit-based fellowships at the top of the additional information page. In order to be eligible, it's just a drop-down menu, and you select, yes, I'd like to be considered, or no, I would not like to be considered. For the MSM program, those fellowship awards typically range between $3,000 and $15,000. If you have questions about other aid, I'm happy to try to answer those for you now as well. But that is it. Those are the basics of the MSM program. I'm going to now do some deep dives or some answer your questions here. So if you have questions, I see we have a few already, please use the Q&A function. Happy to do those for you. So first question here is about math-related courses and special tailoring. Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the curriculum, you have kind of the quantitative courses like finance, stats, accounting. and then the non-quantitative courses. Because a lot of our program, so around 60%, are arts and letters majors, that means a lot of them haven't taken a math course in a couple of years, maybe since high school. So the curriculum is tailored for those students. Another way that we help prepare our students for this is some pre-work. So part of the program before you attend, we ask that you kind of complete a quick refresher of some of the math concepts. Is on Coursera or LinkedIn Learning or something like that. There is an econ course that doing that will kind of help you knock off the rust, brush up on some of those skills. We always encourage, if you haven't taken a stats course recently, maybe just like do a quick, there are some free programs and stuff online to do that as well. But you will be in a learning group that also will have students that have taken a math course more recently to kind of help you out. So, for example, if you are a history major, and we trust that as a history major, you have a lot of experience with research and writing papers and, summarizing large amounts of information concisely, you may be grouped with an engineering major, someone who has had statistics courses, quantitative courses more recently that can kind of help you out. And then you two may also be grouped together with a communications major who is very comfortable with public speaking, presentations. And then the idea being that you would all kind of work together. You have this core group from the onset of the program to work together to kind of help each other out and kind of brush off the skills and develop together as one. So hopefully that answered your question about that. Um, so if I graduate from Notre Dame as an undergrad, would you need to submit an official transcript? Um, yes, we would, just because we have to have official transcripts for all of our students, no matter which university they went to for undergrad, simply for auditing purposes. It's something you have to make sure that your undergraduate degree is conferred by the start of your master's programs, or else you would become ineligible. So we do ask that you please still submit your official transcript from Notre Dame, even though the MSM program is within Notre Dame. If you're asking where to send your official transcript, electronic or the digital version is absolutely fine. Just send it to msm.business@nd.edu. If you want to do it physically, I can give you an address later, or just email us and ask, hey, what address should I send it to? And our operations team will make sure that we set you up with the right area. Thank you for your question. Our next question here is about a deposit to secure your spot. So with admission to the program, in order to confirm your seat, we do ask for a $1,000 deposit. This helps not only kind of secure the spot, let us know that you've got a little bit of skin in the game to make sure that you actually come in the program, but also it kind of helps us with setting up the various materials and things necessary in order for you to start the program in June. So all of the clearances and the software and the apparel and everything like that, the materials for everything. However, if there's any issue about this, if we're happy to do payment plans, or if you need with financial duress, we can also, let's talk offline. We have been known and able to waive that deposit requirement in the past. And it's just something that we would ask for you to request for that. Don't break your back. The $1,000 deposit is just part of your tuition paid a little bit early. It's not an additional $1,000. But if paying that deposit is an issue for you currently, send me a message. Let's set up some time to chat. We have been able to waive that in the past. For NCAA athletes, there is some issues sometimes with being able to get that much money and stuff and working part-time. We've been known to waive that $1,000 deposit also for student athletes who are going to represent Notre Dame on a team while they're within the program as well. So for whoever asked that question, it is possible. I wouldn't say you need to, wait for your refund check or anything like that. Send me a message. We'll figure it out. Okay, another question here is about job outcomes and maybe being unclear. It is absolutely fine. Actually, it's quite common to have students start the program and to not know what kind of business you want to pursue or what sort of um, career you're looking for afterwards. You bring up a great point. It's tough to know what it is you want to do until you actually experience it. So maybe in your head now you think, yeah, consulting sounds cool. I've been told that I'd be a great consultant, but you don't actually know until you experience what it's like to do consulting and things like that. Um, I would say doing some research ahead of time is always possible and always encouraged, but a lot of students use the MSM as discernment period. Some of them find out during the program what it is exactly they want to do. Some go through the entire program and then decide afterwards upon graduation what it is they want to do. Our Career Development Center is here for you after graduation as well to kind of help with that process, right? It's not just I'm going joining the MSM, I want to do this, I'm getting a job in that and done, right? Everyone has their own discernment process. Everyone has, their own way to start their career and maybe what you want to do now before joining the program, it will change within during your time at the MSM. So that's absolutely fine. I would also always encourage, so reaching out to Lisa Michaels, our career development coach, is a great way. Do some networking with people, especially once you get to campus within the MBA program, about what kind of job. If you're looking to do consulting, find people that used to do consulting and we can help you get in contact with them as well. We have our current contact a student feature on our website as well. And some of those students that are on the website have already gotten positions for next year. So that could also be a great resource for you. As far as the interview process, so I see we had a couple of questions come through, one on the chat, one in the Q&A. Again, if you could please use the Q&A function, that'd be great. I will say that 99% of students who are admitted to the program went through the interview process. It is not 100%. There may be certain circumstances where you are not asked to interview but could still be admitted to the program. But I will say, for the most part, the interview process, the interview stage is kind of like that second stage from submission of your application. As far as the interview itself is concerned, I would say dress more formally than relaxed, right? Treat this as an internship interview or a job interview, right? We're going to be dressed in a suit and tie, like I'm going to be dressed in suit and tie, or our women are dressed in blouses and things like that. Um, it's kind of, dress, I would say dress professionally. Don't rent a tux or anything like that, but it's better than wearing a t-shirt or a hoodie or something like that. The interview itself usually lasts around 45 minutes. It's more of a conversation, I would say, than an interview. There's a lot of back and forth, I'd say it's definitely a more relaxed environment as far as the questions are concerned. You don't really have to prepare anything ahead of time. I would strongly encourage bringing pen and paper. I would say, it's very similar to a normal job interview. So think about the questions you would be asked in a normal job interview. Why are you applying today? And what are you hoping to do? And that sort of thing, right? It's the same general attitude with the invitations. Do note, after you apply, it can take a while for those interview invitations to be released, simply because we have to make sure on our end we have enough interviewers set up in order to then identify interview days. So if you applied and it's been a week or two and you haven't received an invitation, don't fret. Those may be coming very soon. Now, if you would like to reach out and say, "Hey, I applied a while ago. I haven't received an interview invitation," you can do that. We can kind of check on your status if you'd like. But I would say if you don't receive an invitation to interview immediately, don't panic. If it's been a little while and you haven't heard anything about any, like at all, maybe reach out, let us know. We can talk with you about that. For students who have been admitted to the program, there are opportunities, yes, to connect with each other prior to starting. I start a Facebook group for all admitted students where they have the opportunity to kind of talk about rooming situations, if they want to split an apartment, or a lot of the current Notre Dame students can offer insight to the South Bend area or to campus like that. You'll also be connected with a current student ambassador who will kind of reach out, welcome you to the program, and they can be your liaison into the program as well. A lot of opportunities to ask questions there and kind of get to know each other. I'll be also I usually host a few happy hour kind of things, virtual happy hours, just some fun, get to know you, casual ways to connect with your classmates. You'll have the opportunity to speak with the academic director of the program, Chris Muir, as well. Speaking of Chris Muir, who is a professor within the program and the academic director, I will be hosting a Q&A webinar with Chris Muir on March 16th. I have not yet sent out the invitation. Those will be coming very soon. Keep an eye out for that. He is a wonderful resource, a great way for you to kind of get to know more about the curriculum and the professors, the faculty, kind of the vision of the program. He has been an amazing resource for students that are looking to join. So keep an eye out for that invitation coming very soon. Any other questions at this time? I believe those were all of the questions that have come through so far. If you have more questions, definitely feel free to ask those now. If you would, like I said, if you'd like to set up a time to speak one-on-one, that's absolutely fine. Send me an email. We can look for some time that works with both of us to set up either a quick Zoom chat or a phone call. I'm happy to answer your questions there. As I mentioned, next week, Wednesday, March 10th, I will be hosting an application Q&A webinar where I'll be doing a deep dive into the application process itself. March 16th, I will be sitting down with Chris Muir, the academic director of the MSM program, and we'll be answering your questions and talking a little bit more about the curriculum itself within the MSM and kind of a vision moving forward of the program. If there is nothing else at this time, then I would just like to sincerely thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great getting to know you. We really look forward to seeing your applications come through. We know that, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the world with COVID and with the market and with everything going on. We understand that maybe you feel like, oh, it's so late in the game. Know that it's not. Know that you are not you're not behind the 8 ball, or you're not, playing catch up or anything. It's very common. You still have time to apply to the program. You still have time. If you really want to wait until the next round, you can. If you need a little bit of an extension on the March 17th St. Patrick's Day deadline by a couple of days, let me know. Reach out. We can give you an extra day or two, to fit your schedule. We know that you're all very busy. We know that you have a lot going on now, whether it's midterms or whether it's, working full time or something like that. So just communicate with me. I'm happy to work with all of you one-on-one. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you and your families are staying safe and healthy at this time. It's been wonderful speaking with you, and go Irish. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by.